two young lads, Vignal and Rees, are both out of French football, although Rees is a Norwegian. And they give it a fair old left-sided balance. Rees is the one that likes to carry the fight the most, gets as far up the field as he can, produces crosses, but Vignal can back him up, and occasionally they do a little switch where Vignal will go forward. And Rees, who's played a lot of games at fullback, just nicely slots in. Both 20-year-olds, good prospects for Liverpool, those two.
Liverpool's emotional return to the European Cup has been just a little flat so far. It could be flattened if they don't win at the third time of asking. No team qualified from a Champions League group last season without winning at least one of their opening 3 games. Left back for Dynamo Kyiv is Nesmatsny. Forward towards Belkevich, but dealt with by Onsho and cleared by Carragher. Header forward by Fedorov. Here's Idahord jumping for the ball with Onsho, sorted out by Gerrard. Only as far as Belkevich, is very good on the ball. Idahord has pulled wide. Well, it was rather ambitious to say the least under pressure from Barmby.
I think what you've seen already, though, is Kyiv have signalled their intent. I think they've got one of the greatest coaches the game's ever produced, Lobanovsky. And one of his trademarks are his side always get forward as quickly as possible with good quality, no matter what the personality. And they've had some great players over the years.
Valery Lobanovsky there, who has been ill recently. He missed the Dortmund game a couple of weeks ago because of bronchitis. He has had some heart problems too in the last year or so, but as you say, he is the godfather of the game in that part of the world, and is still the coach of the Ukrainian national team too. Here's one of his Ukrainian internationals, Vaschuk, forward towards Belkevich. It's a long chase for Chernat, but he forced a challenge from Onsho. Heskey with a header on. Dealt with by Golovko. This is Belkevich. Gavrancic. Kyiv have started on the front foot here.
Yeah, I think you'll see as much as possible. Cherno, number 10 Cherno, will bang in from the right-hand side and try to get through. Belkevich, who theoretically plays just behind the two front players, he's looked on every opportunity. Every time somebody in midfield has shaped to play a ball through, he's run well beyond the strikers.
Basically a 3-man attack they've started with here. Here is the Russian international goalkeeper, Filimonov, who has not distinguished himself in the last couple of weeks. Barmby laying claim to the ball and just stumbling under the pressure of the challenge from Chernat. There was a time when the Kyiv team was the Ukrainian team, but there are 2 Romanians, a Russian, a Belarusian, a Nigerian and a Yugoslav in their starting 11 tonight. Carragher's ball in towards Heskey. Shot on the turn, and Filimonov with a smart save, just helping it on his way after a very smart turn by Emil Heskey.
Yeah, bright all the way in. And Carragher intercepts, drills it across. It's a good take out of his feet. All right, it has to be in the wide away club to tip that over. Nice start for Liverpool, and quite an encouraging start for Filimonov.
Risa will take the corner, for which Sami Hurpier is forward. It's in towards Hurpier, and Filimonov has lost it. And Jari Litmanen has found it, but the goal will be disallowed. On the advice of his assistant on the far side, Pierluigi Collina has awarded a free kick to Dynamo Kyiv.
This will be interesting because if look at Luigi's position, Pierluigi, he can see it pretty well as better now, gets better than the linesman.
Litmanen is certainly beyond the goalkeeper and therefore only one defender on the line.
I thought at first, I have to be honest, I thought at first he'd give it for a foul on the keeper.
It's an incident that will have done nothing for Filimonov's confidence though. Nesmatsny. Cut out by Carragher. Turned away by Onsho. Headed down by Nesmatsny to Chernat. No free kick. Gavrancic to Belkevich. Might run here for Melashenko. Heskey on. Littman controlling it instantly. Heskey wasn't expecting the pass, but he's linked up here with Steven Gerrard.
You know, he started the game very, very off the pace on Saturday, Littman, and hasn't played a lot. But then all of a sudden, just before half-time, he took a dominant influence in the game, started spraying the ball about, and then instead of just playing off the front, started playing as the most advanced man almost. Got in a couple of times, and looking at him tonight, he looks as if he's prepared to go and play almost right against the last defender.
Gavrancic is the biggest man on the field. Ioane is one of the most skillful, bright young Romanian. There's Belkevich. There's Machny. Always been an athletic team, Kiev. Good flick at near post from Melashenko, but they are strong and athletic.
What they don't do either, Clive, is a trademark. They don't incline to put too many passes in for nothing. They'll go bump from the back into midfield, into the front, and then try and get somebody past the front players. That's always been a trademark of them. They're not one of these sides that just sit and pass the ball, passing the ball's sake.
Ball is broken here for Steven Gerrard. On show to Hupia. Heskey losing out to Idahor. Just caught by Harman. Lucky Idahor wearing his Christian name on his shirt. Made for a headline if he strikes goal tonight. Vignal very carefully into the path of Gerrard. Good passing. Carragher. Nick Barmby. Heskey penalised. Just had half an hour on Saturday, Emil Heskey. Gerrard is the only one of these Liverpool players who got a complete rest at the weekend. He's currently suspended in the Premiership. Given away by Fedorov. Harman played inside Ioane for Risa. Cut back to Littmanen, looking to set up Didi Harman. And it struck the back of Fedorov and went for a corner kick.
Yeah, great build-up by Liverpool. Big part play by Harman, then cutting ball inside the full-back for Risa. Risa played a very calm ball into Littmanen, who set it up and got a good shot out the way.
Kiev had a little bit of a problem with the last of these swinging corners from Risa. It's not such a good one. Gavrancic protecting the near post. Risa gets another opportunity. Sets up Barmby. Back in towards Jean-Arne Risa. Pulled in towards Heskey and headed away by Alexander Golovko.
I think this ball in from Risa might be worth watching again. That was superb play. That is what was known in the game as the old-fashioned Liverpool corner. Shapes to cross it, but that's what I want to have a look at again, the little behind-the-leg flick.
He is very left-footed.
But he can't compensate by the look of that.
Barmby's corner from the opposite flank. In towards Hupia again, the goalkeeper's lost it, Littmanen. Turn off the line, a free kick has been given, has it? No, it's a corner. Well, all we heard about Alexander Filimonov, the goalkeeper prior to the match, and he looks very shaky indeed.
Do you think as he goes across here, Risa has any thoughts of maybe trying to play a short one? Or do you think he might just try and load it under the bar again?
I know which one the goalkeeper would prefer.
Got an awful position at the moment. He's trying to get outside of Hupia.
Risa takes. He's all the protection he can get from the likes of Vaschuk there, but it's come back to Jean-Arne Risa, who's seeing a lot of the ball in the opening stages. Barmby. Heskey's there again, and Filimonov manages to take that one. distribution's not bad. This is Belkevich. Calmly done by Stefan Onsho.
Yeah, Harman did well. He made up a lot of ground then to get a tackle in on Belkevich.
Risa. That's a terrific ball, but just curling away from Heskey.
Like to see Heskey do more of that though. Came short as if he wanted a ball into feet. Just turned and spun round, and with his pace and power, it's inviting people like Risa to just stick it in behind the defenders. I sometimes, if I have a criticism of Heskey sometimes, is that he is inclined sometimes to come short for too many balls to feet. With his pace and power, he could be running down the gullies very well.
Gregory Vignal. Didi Harman. Litmanen coming deep. Onsho. It's a snappiness now about Liverpool's passing. Barmby. Carragher. Litmanen. It's a superb header back towards Gerrard, but well seen by Goran Gavrancic. Again, Kiev are not dawdling on the ball. They're not looking to slow the tempo of the game in any way. They're looking to counter-attack immediately.
Yeah, they either play the ball quickly into space or they take the ball quickly into space. What they do, to be fair, they empty their own midfield very quickly, and if Liverpool stay organised, I could see the Liverpool midfield players getting plenty of room in there eventually.
Game has a different temperature to the one in Dortmund last week. Vignal.
It's a great ball.
Litmanen getting in behind Kiev, but just not quite timing his run.
But that's the sort of ball, I mean, he's done it particularly well, Litmanen, but I think that's the sort of ball as well Heskey can be looking for. I mean, Heskey with a ball, he doesn't need to go offside. With his pace and power, he can give defenders a yard or two start. Bright start for Liverpool, though. What they need now is to convert it into a few goals. I think they've been unlucky to have the first one chalked off of Litmanen, and very close on another occasion.
Fedorov is actually man-marking Heskey. Gerrard in towards Litmanen, who's been followed all the way by Golovko. His header as far as Risa. Bit of Steve Nicol about John Arne Risa. There's something about his running action and certainly the role that he's fulfilling for Liverpool at the moment.
It's funny, I was just going to say, he reminds me a lot of Steve Staunton, actually. He's not unlike him facially. He did well there, read the knockdown and broke onto it. Maybe got a bit excited with his shot, but he's certainly been prominent at the moment. A lot of determination, dispassionate determination behind those wide, kind eyes. Just ask Robbie Fowler and Sander Westerveld and Christian Ziege. Not frightened to make decisions, Gerard Houllier. Robbie Fowler waits patiently on the star-studded Liverpool substitutes bench. Maybe not so patiently. Gerard's foot was high, but Golovko managed to retain possession and find Melashenko. Out comfortably by Gerrard. Tackled by Golovko. Melashenko. Ioane. Risa snapping away, and then Vignal pushing Chen to the ground. Chen will take the free kick himself. Towards Idahor, dealt with by Herpia. Risa down to Harman. Jabbed forward to Barmby. Heskey just unable to gather it in his stride. It was awkwardly played just behind him. Belkevich, but Idahor unable to gather it.
Dynamo Kyiv's name really counts for something in this competition. They have a good record, a good reputation, but they've won only 2 of their last 12 Champions League games over the last couple of seasons. Just 1 point from 2 matches this season. Liverpool have twice as many.
It's definitely one they've got to win, though, Liverpool. You know, sometimes you say that and the draw is good enough, but I think today, looking at the rest of the fixtures, and they would know it themselves, they can be patient, but they must win the game.
The most famous face in the crowd tonight, but he has already played his part in Liverpool's future today by putting pen to a new contract which will keep him here until at least the summer of 2005. Chuk. Idaho. Kioani. A little long for Melashenko, and Carragher has some time. Free kick goes Liverpool's way. They've just got to tread that line between patience and penetration tonight, Liverpool. It's been a familiar dilemma for them down the years in Europe, one that they've traditionally solved. Ways it was the Liverpool team of the 70s which brought a more patient approach from English teams in the European club competitions.
Yeah, I also think in those days as well, Clive, you know, a lot more opposing sides came and played en masse at the back. You know, they had to break down solid defensive. Whereas I think now in Europe, I think it's more the other way around now. I think teams are prepared to come out now.
Kyiv have won a corner kick here. Both Fedorov and Golovko, the 3 central defenders, have come forward. Gavrancic stretching, Ida Hall with a shot which actually hit Honcho in the face. Adjusted pretty quickly there, lucky Ida Hall, at an awkward height for him. Hooked to volley goalwards. Cernat, the southpaw, will guide this one in. That's awkward for Dudek. Gavrancic jumping in front of him. Cernat once more. Longer towards Fedorov this time, and that was a charging challenge by Jamie Carragher, which Fedorov wasn't too impressed by, and Carragher really got on the wrong side of him.
Certainly a more vigorous challenge than Herpia put on the goalkeeper earlier. In actual fact, looking at that, it didn't look as severe as when we first saw it.
Good defender, Carragher. Lippmann. Always thinking, always looking. He sees more than most. Down by Carragher, Lippmann again, back to Harman. Now Gerrard, a little bit of shooting space momentarily. Lippmann takes over. Oh, so adept and adroit, and he's played Barmby in here. Lippmann once more, header away by Kioani. And as far as Vigna, has it stolen from him by Idahor. On goes Cernat. Vigna managed to recover. Gerrard rifled in towards Barmby. Our man first to the ball. Tight for Barmby on that touchline. But Golovko taking an unnecessary chance and rather fortunate to win a free kick from Emil Heskey.
Well, for a minute, Kalina would give the free kick towards Heskey. I was just going to say he's not played the advantage yet. Not impressed with the decision, Pierre Luigi.
Didn't get many wrong. Referee happy for the two to tussle before eventually getting on show his free kick. Vigna. Challenged by Chernat. Belkevich. Gerrard was quickly in and again on Baschuk, but turned back into the path of Belkevich, who has asked an awful lot of Ida Hor, other than that Dudek was a little slow to react. Same sort of cut and thrust that we saw from the excellent Kiev teams of 3 and 4 years ago. Maybe not quite the same quality, particularly up front. Same approach. Big hand for Robbie Fowler, who is warming up, as you can hear.
I think because they're just afraid of overcommitting themselves at the moment, Liverpool. I think Steven Gerrard's playing a little bit deep in the middle of the field, just sitting there and trying to take balls off the back line. I think if they were chasing the game, I think you'd see him far in greater contact with the front players.
Saw Fowler just acknowledging the applause from the Kop. Now he's getting a name check. Heskey did well to win that from Fedorov, that free kick. Watched tapes of the two Kiev games in the competition so far. They have played a back four in front of Filimonov, but they've got 3 central defenders tonight. They've shored things up a little bit there. Filimonov left a free kick 2 weeks ago, or last week I should say, in Portugal against Boa Vista, and it crept inside his post. It's like a batsman being clean bowled when offering no stroke. And Liverpool are not exactly short of options here. Steven Gerrard looks like he's going to get first crack at him. It's Gerrard, and it's deflected, back off the post, Litmanen! Back off the crossbar and in! Well, it was a gamble playing Jari Litmanen tonight. The gamble has paid off for Liverpool. He has scored after 23 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit unfortunate for the keeper there. Big deflection, but Litmanen in a flash, and still got plenty to do, by the way. Here's it goes. Cannons off the first defender, second defender, rebounds off the post, and I tell you, he's got plenty to do there. I think for a minute the Kiev team was hoping that the second one that hit the woodwork had stayed out, but that was well in. But that's great reactions and great feet when he's got there.
Golovko actually tried to head the ball away. He made a definite movement towards it. It was he that turned it onto the post, and it was Litmanen who reacted, and no question that his shot off the bar bounced a good yard over the goal line. And Jari Litmanen, who scored his first goal from open play for Liverpool on Saturday, has now added to his very impressive tally in this competition. He was a regular goal scorer for Ajax in the mid-90s. Liverpool have some wind in their sails. Gavrancic, though. Not much change in Houlier's expression, just a trace of a smile. There's Phil Thompson, the Mike Bassett of Liverpool Football Club. Ricky Tomlinson learned it all from him. Here's Litmanen again. He's got away from the keeper. Possibilities. And he's pulled it back to Gavrancic. There were only 2 red shirts in there, but you would have bet on Litmanen to find one of them.
Yeah, the keeper's actually done quite well that he didn't clean him out there as he came out. I think Lippmann might have been hoping he'd have taken him out for the penalty. But he is sharp and bright. He's doing the job we expect him to do when he comes short, pick up the ball and link up the play, but he's also doing the other side of it. He's reading the little flicks, the Toshek to Keegan flick.
And we are talking about a player who has played in 2 Champions League finals, Jari Lippmann, and he has fantastic experience in this competition. Gavrancic, Belkevich, Melashenko, rather so Belkevich short, and Gerrard was in, and again. There's Machnik. Charged down by Barby, doing some good work on behalf of the men behind him. Lippmann, I'm not sure he meant to dummy that, but he's found Heskey, and here goes John Arne Riise. Heskey is up with him. Riise rather outnumbered, and the intervention of Vasyuk.
That's great defending there from Vasyuk. He made sure that Riise couldn't thread the ball through to Heskey, and then came out and cleaned it out at the last minute.
Vignal stepping away from Gavrancic, but into Ioane. Belkevich losing out to Carragher. He has been penalised. News from Athens, and a goal against Arsenal. Panathinaikos have taken the lead in that match through Karagounis. Panathinaikos 1, Arsenal 0. You'll be able to see that goal and the best moments of the first half during our half-time sequence here at Anfield. Arsenal 1 down. Liverpool 1 up. Riise in towards Heskey. It is a Dynamo Kyiv throw. Meanwhile, in this group, in Group B of the Champions League, it is Boavista 1, Borussia Dortmund 0 in Portugal, with a goal from Silva there, and Boavista, the group leaders, continuing to set a surprise pace in the group. Next football on ITV, of course, the Premiership on Saturday evening at 7 o'clock. Arsenal at Derby, Manchester United at Tottenham, Bolton versus Sunderland, some big games at the weekend. Our next Champions League football is in Athens. It's 2 weeks tonight. It's Manchester United's rearranged game against Olympiacos, Wednesday, October the 10th. You can keep up with everything football related on our website, itv.com/football. Jari Lippmann's 19th goal in Champions League football. And after all we said about the goalkeeper, he didn't have a chance with the 2 deflections. And very little he could do once Lippmann had pounced on the ball and lifted it over him and down off the bar to paint some delight on the faces on the Liverpool bench. Chernat. There by Carragher. It was by Fedorov. And then turned on by Chernat. And here's Melashenko with a snapshot.
It's been quiet, actually. He was one I was looking forward to seeing how he'd replaced the previous great Ukrainian Kyiv strikers, but at the moment he's had a very, very quiet start to the game.
He scored goals as soon as he arrived at the club last spring. He's the top scorer this season with 10 goals. He skipped past Verns and Reuter to score against Dortmund a couple of weeks ago. Number 7, Alexander Melashenko, the new Shevchenko as they have dubbed him in Kiev. Lippmann.
Oh, he's the focal point of everything, and he's given us just a little bit of entertainment, and he's actually given the ball away, which is a one-off, I would think.
Ederhor. Ioane. Came off Lippmann and through to Gavrancic, and Ioane has got it back here. Slaloming his way past the challengers, linking up with Belkevich. This is a good attack, but couldn't quite find Ederhor. At least it is a throw into Kiev.
Looks far happier there, Gianni, when he's attacking the box. Being forced to play a little bit of a right wing back job at the moment.
Kyiv given straight to Gerrard. Letting him carefully into the path of Risa. Heskey 1 against 2. Filimonov's clearance only as far as Carragher. Good control. Harman. Gerrard to Poncho. Found a way past Matchney into the path of Barmby and turned back into trouble in the shape of Cherna. Here's Nesmatchny. Away by Vignal, but only as far as Belkevich. Herpia intervening. Coming into his own half of the field and then losing that. Melashenko has got it back from Belkevich, and that was a good opening because Emil Heskey lost the ball inside his own half. Cracking challenge from Carragher. He did get the ball, maybe on a Saturday afternoon in the Premiership. That would have been enough, but Pierluigi Collina felt it was a dangerous tackle.
He might have got it last Saturday. I don't think he's going to get it this Saturday. Strong. I tell you what they haven't got. Kyiv. They haven't got over much. They're a good footballing side. That last little bit of aggression they don't appear to have. They haven't won too many of the strong challenges. And he wished he hadn't gone in for that one now, Cherna. Just looking there, Clive, the incident before that was Heskey flying back at the ball, nearly set Melashenko up for a chance. That's where I think sometimes he comes flying back at the ball too much. Look, you know, it's an awful first touch. Good little bit of link-up play between the two front players there. And if he gets that away with it to one of the corners of the net, he might have a problem. I don't think he should come flying back at the ball like that. I think he's far better when he's turning and spinning and going the other way.
Ternat is not happy at all. He receives treatment as Kyiv prepare to take the free kick without him. Vashchuk, Nesmatchny. Belkevich taking up some good positions here, trying to get beyond Carragher. He just asked a bit too much of himself, but skillful on the ball, the Belarusian international. Interesting, either Belarus or Ukraine will face the runners-up in England's World Cup group in the playoff match. Runners-up whom this country is anticipating to be Germany, but that group isn't quite finished with yet. Chernow is back with us here. Wasn't too keen to lock horns with Jamie Carragher again just yet.
No, I don't think he'll be flying in too many 50-50. I've seen Carragher play a few times this season on that right-hand side, and I must say he looks far happier. I mean, it is his natural side. He's done a hell of a job for them at Liverpool on the left-hand side. But he has slotted in nicely there since the absence of Babel.
Yeah, Babel has been ill since the start of the month, and Carragher has moved over to that side with either Vignal and or Risa filling in on the left. Gerrard. Lovely, rangy, long stride, which
he's got the extra yard and he surges. Got a great player's surge.
Come Uncomfortable for Vasyuk. His touch a little hesitant. This is Melashenko. Now Chernat. Struck against Onsho. Belkevich. Into the path of Idahor. 4 blue shirts in the box here. Ioane with the cross. Belkevich couldn't quite convert it. This is Nesmachny, but Gerrard is there tidying up for Liverpool and setting them forward with Nick Barmby. Yari Litmanen. Steven Gerrard again, picking out Didi Hamann this time, helped on into the path of Gregory Vignan. Turned away though by Vasyuk.
A little warning signs there for Liverpool. I mean, good football there from Kyiv. Smart, slick passing, nearly presented an opportunity.
Ioane. Shot charged down well by Stefan Onsho.
I must admit, that's what they do. They do that ever so well, Onsho and Hurpia. They haven't got the class, say, of Lawrenson and Hansen in the old days, but they do put the body in front of shots. They do block things. They do the ugly side of defending.
Chernat into the path of Belkevich, who is onside here. And just reiterating the point, Stefan Onsho launches himself with the ball again to concede a corner kick.
Yeah, good spell this for Kyiv. They're putting the stringing passes together, getting men up and back. Just 1 or 2 balls into the box. They haven't quite got anything that's really troubled Dudek.
Chernat with the corner. All the way to Nesmachny, and Idahor is on the post, and so too is Onsho, crucially for Liverpool once more. Litmanen coming back to help out. Nobody forward. Vasyuk to Ioane. Melashenko. Wrong footing Gerrard. Gavrancic, Melashenko. It's tight, but they almost found a way through. Arman left it. Gavrancic won it back. Barmby's there, away by Hurpia. Liverpool press back for now. Yari Litmanen's 23rd minute goal is the difference. Arsenal trail by a goal to nil in Athens to Panathinaikos. This is Gavrancic. Kyiv are seeing more and more of the ball here. Melashenko. Idahor. Gavrancic. Given away. Gerrard swept forward quickly towards Heskey. He's all alone up there, completely outnumbered. Waited for the cavalry to arrive, and it's arrived in the shape of Yari Litmanen. He didn't really shape his body in the way that he did on Saturday down at the other end against Tottenham Hotspur.
That's a good early ball there from Gerrard. As you say, he's got nowhere to go. He's waiting, he's buying time. And Litmanen's one of those players, you know, that dominates the rest of the team. I sometimes think players look up, instantly see him and think he's got to have the ball. Talking of players that could dominate the game.
Ian Rush doing a little bit of broadcasting, and John Aldridge. That's a interesting strike force. We're talking some sense. Good to see the old Liverpool faces around there. Sammy Lee and Phil Thompson involved on the staff, both former European Cup winners with the club. One of the things that strikes you when you come to Anfield, how many of the former players are around the place.
You just wish they hadn't been here when you were playing against them.
Heskey. Way to Chernat. Both good on the ball, these two Romanians. Ioane, the number 9, and Chernat, the number 10. Didn't he used to play for Liverpool too?
I was, you know, You know, when he scored the goal, by the way, Lippmann, when I thought, I can remember another player that played just short of the strike. He used to knock goals in from that, like that.
Risa winding up the throw-in, and he does launch the ball further than most. Heskey waiting at the near post. He bounces safely through to our friend Filimonov, who's been a spectator really for the last 10 minutes or so. Paschuk. Floated over Carragher towards Idahor. Got any great pedigree, lucky Idahor. He's a junior international in Nigeria. He came to Kiev in February on trial and then disappeared to Moscow, where Spartak were trying to poach him. Apparently his agent sorted it all out. I bet he did. He's made an impact. The surprise team in this group are the Portuguese team Boa Vista. They're now leading Dortmund by 2-0 in Porto tonight. Sanchez has added to Silva's goal, and if they reach 7 points at the halfway in the group, it's going to be rapidly becoming a question of who goes with them. They haven't read the script at all. Headed by Vaschuk, then by Harman, then by Gavrancic, Belkevich. They just lost their way a little bit here, Liverpool. They've lost that momentum that they had 15 minutes ago.
Tell you what I think happened as well. You know, I think Haman was very dominant in his way. He mopped up, he occupied that position in front of the back two. He got good possession. He kept springing the ball off and bouncing the ball off him to get attacks going. In the last 10 minutes or so, he hasn't really been in the game. He's been running around the game. He's been outnumbered a little bit by one or two of the Kiev players who've played their way around him.
Lippmann to Harman. Lifted into the path of the ever-willing Gerrard, trying to surge past Vaschuk. Vignal's header. Yuri Lippmann tried to squeeze it between two players towards Barnby. Onshaw has won it back. Gerrard. Risa, Lippmann. Wouldn't be sorry to get to half-time with the scoreline intact, Liverpool. There's almost that feel about them, just trying to reacquaint themselves with the ball here and play their way through the last 3 or 4 minutes of the half as coolly and calmly as they can.
That's the big advantage now, having taken the lead. They don't really have to chase the game, they can keep possession and afford to, let's say, to Kiev, come on, try and draw them onto us.
Gerrard. Lippmann. Onshaw. Lippmann to Vignal. There's Risa wide of him. Man to Gerrard. Lippmann straight back into the path of Gerrard, just trying to jam it on the bar, but it has come from Lippmann. Angled in towards Heskey, who's only just overhit.
That was brilliant. They played some great possession football, picked the opposition off, and that was the vision of the man. I mean, ball pops back at him, he's got little easy options, but he knows straight away. He knows that Heskey's just lurking there, and he's only just put a little bit of dye on that, and Heskey would have been in.
He's a thinking man's forward, Yuri Lippmann. It's fascinating watching Lippmann and Teddy Sheringham plying their trades on this ground on Saturday. Good run by Heskey. Risa. Dispossessed by Gioani. Straight up to Belkevich. Neatly laid off to Melashenko. He's got Idahor running ahead of him, and Belkevich here running to his left. Plenty of movement off and around the ball from the Kiev players. Intelligent movement too. Idahor. Always an option. Belkevich stroked in towards Melashenko. The flag was raised. Only going to be one added minute at the end of the half. But Kiev have come into this game with criticism ringing in their ears, criticism from their honorary president, no less, who is a man to listen to in Kiev, and coach Lobanovsky also said that everybody played as badly as they can in Porto last week. They don't want to go all the way back to Kiev with another defeat and more criticism heaped upon them. Belkevich in towards Idahor, turned away by Onsha. Gopia helping out. Well, Liverpool certainly deserved the lead when Jari Litmanen gave it to them. They were the assertive force in the opening quarter of the game, and midway through the half, Litmanen gave them the lead after Gerard's deflected shot had hit the woodwork. But Dynamo Kyiv have responded well since, and are still very much a factor in this game. We'll be hearing from Terry and Des and seeing the Arsenal action in just a moment. But at half-time, it's Liverpool 1, Dynamo Kyiv 0. Involved in 6 European ties here, Liverpool. Their UEFA Cup run did keep thrills and spills to a bare minimum until the final. A clean sheet for the next 45 minutes, and they will have registered their first victory of the competition. Kiev certainly had some promising moments in the closing stages of the first half. Throw-in which Nesmachny will take. Burst of vocal encouragement for the Liverpool team from the Kopites, who in time-honoured fashion gave a warm round of applause to the Kiev goalkeeper when he took up his station at that end. No wonder the way he played in the first half. Fedorov. Vasyuk. Gioani. Losing out to Risa. Onsho lifted forward for Barmby. But Nesmachny was quickly upon him. There's another one who's found it almost easier to find a way into the England team than the Liverpool team just recently, Nick Barmby. Vignal. Gerard. Risa. Getting a throw in from Gioani. Litmanen. Now Harman seeking out Risa. Idahor losing out momentarily to Vignal, the strong. Navrancic, Gioani. Flip from Melashenko, catching Chernat in an offside position.
I'd like to see Liverpool just go a little bit more positive. They're retaining the ball, they're passing it around, but invariably it's finishing up with Honcho and Herpio, who they're okay with the ball, but they wouldn't say distribution was their biggest asset. They're better doing the main machine bit. I think the only time they really spark when the ball's anywhere near Litmanen, but apart from that, they're very, very steady at the moment, but not now.
Risa to Heskey. Now Litmanen hung up towards Barmby, but comfortable enough to fill him on off this time. He is a very experienced goalkeeper, the Dynamo Kyiv, I was going to say number 1, it's actually number 31. foul there by Gerrard. But he's been capped by Russia. He's won 5 titles in Russia with Spartak Moscow, but he made a terrible error in a high-profile international, ironically, against Ukraine, and was dropped by Russia and sold by Spartak Moscow soon after. He's landed up in the Ukraine.
He's on the best of optics, he's got problems.
Offside, Heskey. Either side of half-time, Liverpool's opponents have been seeing every bit as much, if not a little bit more of the ball, than Liverpool themselves. This is Melashenko, on by Chernat. Oh, referee intercepting on Liverpool's behalf, and here's Honsho. Heskey, immediately surrounded, did well to draw 3 in and find Honsho, and quickly on by Littman, and here's Barmby now, try to lift it over Filimonov, and he did that, but just over the crossbar too. Littman in the key to that move though.
What a ball, what a little glance off into Barmby's run. Ball's fit in and everything's just not, I bet he's upset Barmby this, the way the ball's arrived, just at the pace he wanted it, just in the place he wanted it. Certainly he's the one that ups the tempo. When he gets round his feet, the game seems to quicken.
Decision given Kiev's way. Ioane. It's a firm challenge by Honsho, but he got the ball. Littmanen looking to stretch Kyiv again, finding Heskey. Throw-in conceded by Fedorov, but once more it was the accuracy of Littmanen's pass which has given Liverpool this base camp. He really is an eyes in the back of the head forward. He can see so much around him. Jamie Carragher winding up the throw. Pushing the best of headers from Gavrancic. Almost did Liverpool's job for them. Away by Nezmachny though. Now Chernat. Important interception by Vigna. But Terry was talking about the relative lack of atmosphere inside Anfield, which is not full, but I think Kyiv are quieting the crowd here. Littmanen's given it away here to Idahor, and a slip by Herpia. One show away. Here's Littmanen again. Fedorov is there with Heskey. Golovko. Liverpool have had the lion's share of possession. Chernat, maybe not always in their opponent's half of the field.
Yeah, I would think Herpia and Big Honsho probably had as much of the ball as anyone.
Vaschuk to Nezmachny, taking on Carragher. Strong player Nezmachny, but no free kick. Carragher did his job. He is one of those defenders who makes defending his #1 priority, Jamie Carragher. He can play. He's won 3 caps in midfield for England this season. But shoulder to shoulder there, he's strong enough and quick enough to see off his man. Not the benefit of any doubt there. Heskey's header. Littmanen stretching and bringing it under his spell. Gerrard's cross in towards Heskey. It was awkward for Fedorov. Don't think it came off his arm. It's a corner kick. Fedorov wants the treatment.
He's making sure the referee doesn't think it came off his arm.
No, that's certainly not his arm. Risa will take the corner. Turned away by Gavrancic. Idahor setting up Chernat. Belkevich breaking to his right, Melashenko to his left. Idahor here down the centre. Chance for him to run at Onsho, who stood his ground very impressively. Belkevich, though, held up by Harman. Idahor is down for the moment. There's Machny coming forward. He's trying to clip it to the far post, where Fedorov have got forward. Dudek will kick the ball out of play so that the young Nigerian can receive some treatment. This is how he sustained the injury. It's good defending by Stefan Onsho, although he uses arms to leave him out of the way. Kyiv have not won a European tie in England. They lost all 3 away games in the competition last season and capitulated in Portugal last week, but their semi-final and quarter-final teams from 3 and 4 years ago generally travelled well. They won 4-0 in Barcelona, they drew at Juventus, at Wembley against Arsenal, drew in the Bernabeu against Real Madrid a couple of times. I know their best players have all ended up in Western Europe. They do like coming.
You just feel they're very nice, very tidy, very efficient, got a nice way of playing, but they haven't quite got that bite. I think that's where Liverpool have become, I don't say complacent, but I think the back players of Liverpool just feel that they can always do what Honcho's done there and break them down at any given time, even when they're developing some of the 1 or 2 better passing movements. But when you're only 1-0, you're still on a knife edge.
Heskey. There's Machny. Melashenko stepping away from Carragher, but Gerrard's there.
That's where he's brilliant. That's one of his brilliant things. He's one of the best challengers I've seen for a ball. His timing's normally perfect.
Herpia. Litmanen. Plenty to his right. Nick Barmby. Crossed into Heskey. Good save! Turned away from harm's way by Golovko, and Filimonov came up trumps for Dynamo Kyiv there. Lovely sweeping Liverpool break.
Yeah, exciting. All starting from the moment Gerrard wins the ball. This ball fizzed out from Litmanen to Barmby. Plays his ball to the first post. Full marks. Heskey gets across the keeper. And the kid's coming for a bit of flack, hasn't he, Filimonov? But he did it all right there. And he was fortunate enough that his parry didn't fall to another Liverpool player, Risa.
This is where he's had problems, though, from the cross ball. Barmby takes. Poor corner, defended by Vaschuk.
Actually, Liverpool have hit 1 or 2 not so good corners. Risa's hit 1 or 2 from this side, from the right side. You think every time they had that particular position, they'd be going, go on, I'll stick this one under the keeper. Make him sweat a bit.
Gerrard through to Heskey. No flag. Emil Heskey! Well, he's got himself into 2 great positions in the last minute or so, and credit him for that, but he hasn't got a goal to his name.
Yeah, full marks. I mean, he's not offside there. They're looking for an offside there. He's just managed to get back on. I would just wonder whether he might have moved the ball a bit on the keeper. He's run a bit straight at the keeper, and he hasn't given himself that much room.
Gerrard's pass.
Yeah, you just look now. You just wonder if he'd have just moved the ball slightly on the keeper, but he thinks he's got enough to flick it there. But I tell you what, I'm more encouraged when I see Heskey do what he's just done in the last minute, i.e. run towards their own goal, attack crosses, than when he just keeps coming deep to have the ball at feet.
A little subliminal flash which says what would he have done in that situation. Given away by Cernat to Heskey. A little bit more encouragement for Liverpool in the last few minutes. Here goes Heskey again. Good covering challenge by Gioani. Cernat. Idahor able to turn. Gioani. Belkevich tried a little backheel for Idahor. Hope he was having none of that and even trying a backheel of his own. He's been so good, Sami Hyypiä, for Liverpool since arriving at the club at the start of last season, but he's maybe been culpable for a couple of goals recently. The one they conceded to Boavista here a couple of weeks ago, and then in the derby match at Goodison the following Saturday. It comes as a shock to the system when you see him turned by a forward or missing a ball in the air, but he's been back to his high standards tonight. And Honcho, who's had his critics alongside him, has done well for Liverpool too.
When you think of it, the number of people say, I'm not too sure about the two central defenders, the goalkeeper when it was Vesterwald. The defensive record was brilliant.
Oh, a little bit of a mix-up there between Golovko and Vasyuk, who've been side by side in the Kiev and Ukrainian national teams for the last 5 years. They're complete strangers then.
Now getting a better ball under the keeper from Barnby.
Kiev down to 10 men for the moment with Idahor off.
They're filling more enough, sweating a little bit.
Barnby's corner. Oh, wasn't the greatest of punches, was it? Risa! Shot deflected, it'll be another corner, and that's bad news for Alexander Filimonov.
You know, if he could just lift one even a little bit higher now, Barnby, and a little bit slower, so he's got to think about it, the keeper.
He really has got grease on his knuckles, hasn't he?
Oh, he'll be having kittens. Risa wants to be on his toes for any knockdowns there. That's short again.
Such a waste. Risa. Hupia. Barnby onside. Nick Barnby! Oh, off the post. It'll be a goal kick. It was a great opening. Not a great stroke of luck for Nick Barnby.
Yeah, what about this for a bit of skill then from Hupia? Barnby takes it off Risa actually, and rightly so.
Scored some important goals for Liverpool in the early stages of the UEFA Cup campaign, Nick Barnby, but he missed out on that run after the first leg of the quarter-final through injury and then unable to get his place back.
Yeah, you just hope from Liverpool's point of view now they've had 3 great opportunities in the last few minutes that they're not costly ones. But it's certainly the tempo of the game has picked up from the time that Heskey had that first opportunity.
They're now gone and Liverpool are looking more likely to score again. Heskey on. This is Litmanen. Did well to conjure up any kind of a cross there, but it's turned away by Golovko. Poor pass from Gioani. Arman seizing upon the ball. Free kick given. There's Matchley's challenge on Barnby. And that may just be Nick Barnby's final contribution because Danny Murphy is imminent. Well, he, like Fowler and Litmanen, has been short of match practice. 2 Liverpool and 2 England games in the last month, Nick Barnby. And Danny Murphy, who was not involved on Saturday for the first time in a month, comes on in his place on the right-hand side, where he's operated in 2 Liverpool Champions League games thus far in the competition. Hupia is forward. Risa takes in towards Gerrard. It flicked off the head of Gioani. It will be a corner kick to Liverpool. Concerted pressure down at the Kop end. And it's got some legendary European goals down at that end of the ground. It almost seems as if Anfield tilts in that direction at times. Danny Murphy's first kick is a corner. Header away, a good one by Federer. Back in by Risa. Filimonov straight to Harman. Murphy. Sit back from Litmanen. Rolled in, Heskey's offside. He's committed to the run. He managed to straighten his run very well for the previous chance that he had, Emil Heskey. Gioani. Gavrancic, now Idahor. Good challenge again by Hupia. Carragher to Lippmanen.
Great handball, wasn't it?
Murphy brought it down on his chest, apparently. Risa. Now Vinyal. Headed away by Fedorov. Helped on by Melashenko. Belkevich onto Ederhor. Oncho's got some catching up to do and does it. Harman. A rather muted force in the game, Didi Harman. Murphy stepping between the defenders and finding Gerrard. Heskey just a little slow to react to the pass. Flat on his feet there, Emil Heskey. Guess who's on the way? I think the roar tells you as much. Jari Lippmanen is going to be replaced.
Leaving the field, number 37.
And the man whose name was in the morning headlines, Robbie Fowler, will take his place with a little over 25 minutes to go. The stoical Michael Owen watches on.
I just wonder how much in that is to go show me, Robbie. If you're not happy with your place, go show me. Because certainly Lippmanen, I know he's talk about his fitness level, but he's been the outstanding player for me.
And Sven-Göran Eriksson has got a chance to look at Fowler and Heskey together. Harman. Carragher. It's a big 25 minutes in Liverpool's season and a very big 25 minutes in Robbie Fowler's season, this. Headed down by Gioani. Offside. Terry Venables was talking about the lack of match practice for Robbie Fowler. He's had 60 minutes of first-team football in the last 18 days. The 60 minutes that he had here on Saturday against Tottenham, when Gerard Houllier felt that he didn't look match fit. Out to Baschuk. Now Gioani. By Carragher. Free kick given against Heskey. Gioani. Melashenko. Belkevich is onside here. Liverpool undone. Headed by Carragher. And then Murphy hit the ball against Cherner, and it will be a goal kick. Next football on ITV is on Saturday. Our regular date with the day's Premiership action. Our next Champions League football is in 2 weeks' time. It's Manchester United's rearranged game in Athens against Olympiacos. Join Des in the sunshine on Wednesday, October the 10th at 7:30. Sun shining on Arsenal in Athens tonight. They still trail to Panathinaikos by 1-0. Panathinaikos played 2-1-2 coming into the game. Arsenal in danger of being trailed off from the group leaders in that section C. Heskey finding Fowler. Smooth expectation with Robbie Fowler on the ball. Belkevich though to Cherner. Put away by Hubje. Baschuk. Belkevich, he's found some space tonight, the number 8. On the ball again. Actually taking over. Carragher has been stout in his defending.
Just signs of what happened in the first half, though, where all of a sudden Kyiv got back into the game before half-time. It's just signs that that's developing a little bit now. They're enjoying a lot of possession. They're enjoying it in the top half of the field as well.
And Danny Murphy has conceded a free kick here.
you know, you wonder whether Yuri Littman going off, he was at least a player that could always link the play and get the ball up and hold the ball up for Liverpool. At the moment, the ball's coming back at them a little bit quick.
Dirty Dudek has a four-man wall in front of him. Make a change here before the free kick. Chen at the Romanian is going to be replaced by a Bulgarian, Georgi Payev.
Number 10, Solid Chernat, coming on for Dynamo. Number 11 with Georgi
Problems here
Payev.
for Liverpool. It would be Belkevich. So, Duda didn't make any steps towards his far post. He had a yard or so to spare and presumably felt that it was safe enough.
Soft up and down, huh? We saw a goalkeeper at the other end in one of the earlier matches. Let the ball go past his post, he went the wrong side of his post.
Here's the newcomer, the Bulgarian international Payev. Something that Dynamo Kyiv have done quite successfully in the last couple of years. They are one of the wealthier clubs in the old Eastern Bloc, and any talent at that end of Europe which hasn't been snapped up by the West has been lured to Kiev. Risa towards Heskey. Good jump by Fedorov. Gavrancic, Yugoslav, helping him on his way. Vignal. Gerrard. Not quite coming off for Liverpool at the moment. Murphy with a good challenge back. Carragher. Heskey with a game run into the corner. Protected the ball well. Murphy. Gerrard. Carragher looking to switch the point of the direction of the attack. Gregory Vignal. Didi Harman. Murphy. A little bit of space here for Steven Gerrard. He's made shooting space for himself now. Vaschuk. Vignal. Well, he just couldn't resist it, could he?
Oh, he got excited, ball coming back, left-footed. I saw him have a great shot Saturday against Tottenham at the bar. You think that he surges past the defender, Gerrard, makes his space. Unfortunately for Liverpool, there's a block on the ball, but this...
It's funny, when they play the game here of picking the greatest Liverpool team, left-back's always the spot where they, I say, struggle to find one, but sometimes Emlyn Hughes gets wedged in there, and maybe Alan Kennedy, maybe Jim Beglin. They've got a couple of new candidates now in Risa and Vignal. Payev to Melashenko. Good challenge again by Herpia. The two centre-backs really have stood tall for Liverpool. Liverpool have had this one-goal lead from the midpoint in the first half. Goal by Yuri Littman. And a couple of knots of pressure in which they've threatened to add to it. Long periods of the game where they've been pretty circumspect in their approach. Murphy would almost open up for him.
Fairly intelligent throwing there from Murphy. You know, he's walking away as if he's not interested. He kept putting his hand behind his back, signalling where he wanted the ball to go. But unlucky. I like to see that as opposed to that continual ball thrown straight down the line. A bit of invention.
Oncha. Here's Fowler. He's managed to spin Golovko, but there's an extra man there in the shape of Nezmachny, but he was showing his toes to Fowler, who's now won a free kick for Liverpool. Well, the test of Alexander Filimonov. Reese has come across to maybe guide one in. Murphy looking to take responsibility. One of the two. Booker is forward. Taken by Murphy. And a free kick given against Gerrard for leaning into Alexander Golovko. He actually had a trial with Liverpool 4 years ago, Golovko. Vashchuk. Payev. Ioane picking up the baton, but then running out of lane. Just over a quarter of an hour remaining. And we said it at the start of the night, the result is the all-important thing here for Liverpool. Particularly with the group leaders Boa Vista leading Dortmund in Portugal. Risa. Gerrard. Murphy with Carragher overlapping. Creating some space for Danny Murphy, didn't make the most of it. Gerrard though, maybe. Bold challenge though by Vashchuk. Belkevich. Offside, Ida Hawk. Here come the last 15 minutes. Risa. Disappointing. Ioane. Threaded into Melashenko's first touch a little heavy. Arman resists Payer, finds Heskey. Surrounded by blue shirts, but good enough and strong enough there. Carragher. Acres of Anfield to run into. Space for Steven Gerrard. Taking on Nezmachny. Good cross by Gerrard, well defended too by Vladislav Vashchuk.
And what was
typical surging run by Gerrard.
What was noticeable as he flashed it across, I was interested to see Fowler's run. He was flying at the first post, he'd read the script. That's where he does operate. I think Robbie Fowler has problems when the game's a long way away from goal, but anything flying across the box is as good as anything in the country.
Murphy is standing in front of the goalkeeper again.
Need the delivery, put it up high, miss the first defender, let them out of the scramble on it.
Risa takes the corner kick. And the goalkeeper's able to make a pretty conventional catch this time.
He usually punches them from down there, doesn't he?
Idahor sticking at it, and Vignal sticking to him. Belkevich. Other bright minds in the Kiev team, always looking to get on with it. Quick free kicks. Belkevich in towards Melashenko, turned away by Honcho. So nothing wrong tonight, Stefan Honcho. Liverpool's throw.
I think that's been one of the outstanding differences in the two sides. When there's been a physical contest, there's been a lot of difference in the passing. Both sides have showed good quality. But when there's been a physical contest, normally it's a red shirt, or almost every time it's a red shirt that emerges.
Latest from that other match in Group B, it's now Boa Vista 2, Borussia Dortmund 1. Amoruso has got a goal back for the Germans. Boa Vista 2, Borussia Dortmund 1 in Oporto tonight. Boa Vista started the night on top of the group with 4 points. Dortmund and Liverpool both on 2. So actually that's the best combination of results really for Liverpool. They wouldn't be too sorry to see Boa Vista disappear over the horizon at the top of the group if they can follow in their wake and claim at least the second spot. Heskey. A little isolated down there, but he's emerged from that corner with a corner kick. Here comes Hurpier again. Liverpool are ready in Gary McAllister. And John Arne Riise, who celebrated his 21st birthday on Monday. Just about enough breath to blow out the candles, but he's now going to give way to Gary McAllister, who's had less than 40 minutes of action in Liverpool's last 3 games, coming on from the bench.
I think we might see a bit of quality on the set play now.
Yeah, I guess he's going to take the corner.
One of his right-footed slow ones, right under the keeper's throat.
Pitch it up. McAllister's corner. Give him the big build-up, and what do they do? Carragher. Heskey was having his shirt pulled there. This is Peyev. Belkevich. Arman got back. I said he's had a quiet game, but he's done a lot of work in that area of the field, Didi Hamann.
I think he does that job excellent. Screens in front, it's a hard job to do. A lot of his movements just lateral across the field, not up and down it.
Idaho running into Carragher, which is not an advisable thing to do.
You know, you look at him, the number 21 Idaho, you can't make your mind up. You think there's a threat in him, but a lot of it fizzles out. But I wouldn't be surprised, at least in the closing stages, at least to see him present one situation that might make Gerald Houlier's heart flutter a little bit. They'll probably take him off now. There's certain other subs coming.
It's Jari Litmanen's goal which separates the 2 teams, and he's going to go and get warm. This is how it came about midway through the first half. Poacher's goal after Gerrard's free kick had been deflected twice onto the woodwork.
Further substitution for Dynamo Kyiv coming on is number...
This is a forward player, Sergei Serebrennikov, who is a current Ukrainian international. And it's Belkevich who's coming off. He's been quite influential for Kyiv tonight. Serebrennikov is tall and quick, forward thinking.
But for Kyiv, number 28 is Serebrennikov.
Hardy bunch of Kyiv fans. Heskey penalised. Serebrennikov is immediately the target. Hurpier seeing him off. Liverpool throw. Heskey forcing it. Fowler. Run for McAllister. Deflected back into the path of Robbie Fowler. Setting up Steven Gerrard! Oh, you expect better from him now. You expect fireworks every time it comes within his range. Fowler's tee up. On it. Running into Hamann once more. His mind will be turning to World Cup matters in 10 days' time, Didi Hamann. Won't be able to make his mind up what he feels about Michael Owen being injured and indeed Jari Litmanen running into form because Germany face Finland. Payev. At least he won't have Steven Gerrard knocking it through his legs all the time. Here goes Ioane running free. Still problems for Liverpool, still danger from Kyiv.
Boy's done him a favour then, Ioane. If he'd have crossed that one of the few occasions, Kyiv have got extra strikers in the box.
He's asked too much of Payev. He had 5 in the box then.
I think if he'd have crossed that earlier one over, Herpy would have been drawn out the middle.
He came from Rapid Bucharest, who actually played against Liverpool in the UEFA Cup last season, but he didn't figure in that match because 2 Romanian clubs were claiming his registration. One of these complicated transfers, a messy transfer in the summer, which brought him to Kyiv. Free kick for Liverpool. Bit fidgety down there.
Yeah, he knows his team should be well in control, but when it's 1-0, you're always living on the edge a little bit. You have to say that they haven't seriously threatened too much Dynamo Kyiv. To just promise certain things, but there's been no real physical threat, no real aggressive threat. Time for the Bagatelle free kick again. Ping pong.
Steven Gerrard off his long run. Caught hold of it, he got his deflection again, he'll settle for the corner. Now Gary McAllister has a chance to test Filimorov and co. Heskey and Herpy are the attentive forwards to aim at. Nobody found, away by Serebrennikov, up to Idahor, put it on by Payev. Idahor. Murphy helping out, away by Carragher. To try and assist the men behind him. It's say all hands to the pumps quite. It's not that desperate for Liverpool, but they've had to work hard to protect the lead that Jari Litmanen gave them. Just entering the final stages, Ron, this is the time when I ask you to nominate your man of the match.
Well, the best player on view, although he's not on view at the moment, is Jari Litmanen, and I think he was excellent, he was creative, and he scored the goal which, touch wood, might give Liverpool their first victory in this competition.
A man who has won this competition, who's played in 2 finals, 4 semi-finals with Ajax and Barcelona, and who was, I'd say, a controversial selection tonight. But there was a bit of a dilemma for Gerard Houllier coming into the game, and Litmanen solved it with that goal.
I think it's a pity from Liverpool's point of view, to get their strongest side out. It's a pity they can't come up with something where they have 2 of the main strikers and Litmanen in there as the spare player.
Done that on occasions, but not many. In fairness, Jari Litmanen has only started 10 matches in the 6 months since he's been at the club. He was injured towards the back end of last season.
I must just catch him on good days, Clive, because I think every time I've seen him play for Liverpool, he's always been the player for me that stood out the most.
Nesmachny. Will Litmanen's goal be enough? McAllister only as far as Ioane. Now Payev. Space for the Bulgarian. Serebrennikov's first touch is heavy. Arman winning the ball again. Free kick to Liverpool. No more Champions League football for 3 weeks after this for Liverpool and Kyiv. They meet again in the Ukrainian capital on October the 16th. Liverpool visit Newcastle and entertain Leeds before then, as well as dabbling in the World and Worthington Cups. And then from mid-October, the Champions League runs for 3 consecutive weeks to decide the first phase group. And then there's a bit from Manchester United. It's tough at the top. Heskey. McAllister! Quite catch it on the half volley under pressure.
Little bit unlucky here. Heskey does well to keep the ball in the zone, and Gary Mack trying to get inside Giovanni, just can't get enough purchase on the ball.
Given away by McAllister, not often you say that. That's a terrific pass. Fowler unable to claim the ball though for Liverpool. Forward by Golovko. Away by Hurpia. Didn't quite get the job done though. Serebrennikov. No foul by Oncho. He was looking for it, wasn't he? Liverpool ticking towards the nervous 90s. Melashenko. Good tackle by Gerrard. Gavrancic. Gerrard wouldn't let him be. Golovko. Ioane. Idahor. On goes Ioane. Away by Vignal. Liverpool hanging on a bit here, but hanging on without too much embarrassment to their defensive certainty tonight.
In a way, the two centre-halves, it's been like swatting flies away when Kyiv have attacked. But it's just when you haven't got that extra goal to sort of just relax on a little bit.
There'll be 3 added minutes. Raschuk, Serebrennikov.
3 minutes.
Liverpool are still getting their challenges in, still working for the cause, working for the result.
Just looking at Robbie Fowler there since he's come on, and having looked at him on Saturday, I think all the business that's gone about him, I think he could just do with relaxing when he's playing. It looks as if he's fighting the ball all the while.
Kyiv have got 2 men down injured at the moment. Both Vaschuk and Nesmachny are in need of treatment. There is Fowler, now Heskey. Now Liverpool have a problem because Danny Murphy's down.
A little bit of an altercation there. Vaschuk took umbrage at Heskey's challenge. It just had a little bit of physical stuff. I think Gerrard's just had to pull him out of it.
They did work their way to the UEFA Cup final last season. They managed to keep the lid on a lot of matches. And plot a route past some very impressive opposition to that dramatic final against Alaves. Do you feel as though they can continue to make progress in this one?
I think they've got enough players to do very well, and particularly, it's a different kettle of fish. This is the first time they've played in a group stage. This is the first season. And we saw with Man United when they first went in, it was a little bit of a learning curve for them. Whether to go to the sound of the trumpets and try and thrash sides, or whether to say, all right, you don't get anything extra for another goal, it's points in the bag.
Melashenko. Murphy quickly involved again.
What they have got, they've got a very good physical presence about the side. They've got some strength in the side and some power.
And they're very close to having their first victory. Carragher takes. McAllister trying to latch onto it. Jerry Marsden's famous anthem just welling up from the cot now. They sense that the task is all but complete. Melashenko though, Idahor, gathered in well by Serebrennikov. Here goes lucky Idahor. He's got Payev in support, but he tried to get the shot away himself. He has won a corner kick. Liverpool not quite home yet. Kyiv piling all but 2 of their players in there. Ida Hall will take the corner kick. Meloshenko couldn't reach it, Carragher did. Nesmachny. Turned in by Vashchuk, almost came for Gioani, but he couldn't control it. Foul by Herpier on the edge of the penalty area. Meloshenko tumbled.
Surely it can't be.
Edgy final moments at Anfield. Jerzy Dudek demanding concentration from the men in front of him. All 11 back behind the ball.
You know what, Clive, you know it's a hobby horse of mine. At this stage, I think if I was Liverpool, I'd try and get somebody on that line. Stakes are too high now to throw it away at this late stage.
Well, it all comes down to this. It's been a long night. This looks like Kiev's last opportunity to spoil it. Just as they almost did at Old Trafford in the first phase last year. It's hit by Vashchuk, it took a deflection, it almost found a way through. It was a well-struck free kick, but Liverpool have done it. Hard work, but a job well done. Solid, sound defence was the cornerstone of their first victory in the Champions League. And a moment of instinctive finishing in front of goal midway through the first half from Jari Litmanen.